y'all, Ricky from Ricky's Pretties, and today I'm going to be starting to make the cover of the journal that I began the other day. And so this is going to be the inside fabric, and I have chosen to use some lace to make pockets with. It's a light pink. It goes with the cover. I don't know if you can really tell, but this is a very light baby pink fabric, and this we're going to work on the top cover today. And what I did is I layered it up with some batting. There's some batting underneath this, you know, for quilting, so it's kind of thick and layered, and I'm going to just use that. And then I've got all kinds of stuff back here that I'm going to be using to layer up with this journal cover. Here is my box, my 3 meat lasagna box, and as you can see, I have gone around. I've marked in very light pencil around where the box perimeter is. I have marked in pencil where the spine is going to be so that I know where to lay things out, and I have basted in a loose stitch around the perimeter of where the box will be, so that way I know where my design can go, because I don't want it to be, you know, out here where I'm going to be cutting it off. It's got to be, you know, this way I know where this ends and where this ends and where this ends and this ends, and you know, I can see where everything needs to actually go. Okay, so set that aside, and see, what I mean is I don't have to paint this. If I use batting, it's not going to show through it. See, so that's how you get around painting your box or otherwise. No painting involved if you use batting, because you're not going to be able to see that. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside over here. And I've laid out all kinds of stuff over here, and I'm just going to grab some things. This is going to be a little process because I'm going to be layering all kinds of goodies. We're going to be layering these things up. This is going to be like a collaged cover. And so I'm just going to start putting things where I think they should go. Right side up. Make sure when you're using lace that it's right side up, because sometimes it's not. And you want to make sure that you're doing right side up. Let's see here. So here's my lines. And I don't really want that to be the same. So I'm going to do this over here. And the shorter one up here is probably maybe what I'll do. I'll do that edge. Maybe we'll just move that down and have some of it hanging off. We can do that. You can hear my neighbor's dogs, they're barking. They like to do that sometimes. Okay, so this is going to be my beginning layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some more pins, and I'm going to pin this in place. And then I'm going to zigzag stitch these things on here. And then I'll be back and I'll do the next layer. Okay, so I've got those pieces sewed on, and I have my sewing machine up here now, and my table is not that huge, so hopefully you guys can see what I'm going to do, because I'm just going to leave it up here and I'm going to just kind of place and sew and place and sew. So I'm going to go ahead and put this want it to go. We'll put it like that. Get my pins over here where I can get to them. And I'll probably put this into fast forward, you know, a little bit so it doesn't take up, you know, a whole freaking hour, because it probably will. So anyways, this is what we're going to do. We're going to place and sew and place and sew. So let's get to it. Okay, I've gotten all the hard stuff done, it looks like. So I just have the easy stuff left. I'm going to place a little button here, probably. I think I'll put it right there. And then I'll put this one, where do I want it? Over here. I think that'll be really cute to go right there. And then I'll be done with this cover. Oh yeah, I've got some little, I'm going to put that there. And this one can go here or here. I'll probably put it right there because there's a blank spot right there. And I think that'll be really cute. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and sew those on. I just hand sew these. That's all I do is just get some needle and thread and hand sew those on. And then once I get that done, I'll be back to show you what we do about getting this onto the cardboard itself. Okay, so I have finished this sewing the last little bits onto my cover. I've sewed these little rosettes on here, this little rosette trio. I put a little piece of trim up here. I sewed this on because of the beads. I hand sewed that. It doesn't really like to go through the machine very well with those beads on there. And then I sewed a little rosette up here. And then with the machine, I went ahead, oh yeah, I've got my little buttons. I sewed my little buttons on. And then with the machine, I went ahead and sewed on my tea-dyed seam binding for the closure. And I'll just kind of turn it over so you can see. This is our quilted side. So you can kind of see how all of our sewing looks. And our seam binding is attached here. And then I went ahead and attached the lace. I just kind of basted the lace on to the inside cover so that it would be ready for the video, so I can cut down on some of my time a little bit. So I just did here and here across the bottom so that I didn't have to worry about that. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get this cover sewn together. And for that, I'm just going to, so it don't really matter, does it? I think I'll put this on first. That's what I'm going to do. Sorry if I'm shaking this camera, I'm trying not to. Yeah, we'll be doing this side first because it's flat, it'll be easier. And so because I'm going to be sewing it, I don't want to use this glue because this will go through my needle and just make it super sticky. I won't be able to sew it right away if I use that. So I'm just going to use my Elmer's glue stick, and I'm not putting it everywhere. I'm not even going to go around the edges with it. I'm just going to put it kind of in the middle because I really just want it to hold the fabric in place and not let it move too much while I'm sewing it. So now I'm going to just get that out of the way, and I'm going to center it best I can. Yeah, that's pretty good. And stick it down. Like I said, it doesn't really even have to hold fantastically. It just needs to be stuck a little bit so that things don't move too much. And then for this one, because it's thicker, I can go ahead and use this. I just want to stay away from everything's getting in the way. I just want to stay away from my edges because I'm going to sew around my edges. And this sticks better, so I'm going to just use it. I'm probably going to sew here too, so I don't really want to get it right there either. Just want enough to hold the fabric down. And that probably ought to do it. I'm just gonna grab this, make sure my, sorry, I've got out of frame, but I'm gonna make sure that my edges are down flat on both sides, nothing's in the way, and I'm gonna line it up with the bottom one best I can. Let's make sure it's right side up though, guys, because we want, here's our pocket, so we don't want to glue it upside down. I have a habit of doing that, and then I have to go and redo things. So we just want to make sure that it's right side up, which now it is, that this is all flat, and then we're going to line it up. Best we can, and stick it down. And I'm going to go ahead and pin it in a couple of places just to make sure that things aren't moving around. Here and here. And then here, and here. That ought to be enough. And now I can go ahead and baste around and hold that. And I say baste because I'm going to be putting some of this eyelet on there. This is really pretty. And this is not as white as it looks. It's actually aged a little bit. It has been tucked away for a really long time, so it is naturally aged. Didn't have to tea stain it. It's ivory in color, and it's gonna look really, really pretty on here. So, but first we need to get the cover sewn together, and then we'll put this on. All right, so let me get my sewing machine out, and I'll probably do that off camera just to speed things up a little bit, because y'all get the idea. We're just gonna go around, and because I have my pencil marks on here and my previous basting, I know where I'm gonna need to sew this. Okay, so I know exactly where my cardboard is that I need to, you know, sew around. So that's gonna help me, and I'll be back in a minute. All right, so this is all basted together. Everything is as it should be. I have both sides. I don't have any folds or wrinkles anywhere on here, which is good, because sometimes, you know, when you're sewing things, this can get caught. You have to undo that if it does. And I don't have any, my signature, my little closures are not, you know, twisted up or anything like that. So this is good. Now, what I do first, before I put the lace on, is I trim this, because as you can see, this fabric frays out really good. So I'm going to use pinking shears, and I always like to do this side first, because I have to cut this, and then I have to cut this, because you don't want to accidentally cut through your closure that you put in there. So just make sure that that is out of the way. All I do is I flip this so I can see what I'm doing. And then I use this to pull back this here, and then I just start pinking about a 1/4 inch of the way away from where I sewed. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay, because we're going to put lace on there. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm just going to pull this out of the way, and I'm going to go right along the edge where I just pinked the other side. Okay. And I save these because I can make snippets and stuff out of those, so those get saved. I toss those aside and save them. And I'm going to flip this the other way and do this side again. Do this other side now. Again, just making sure everything is out of the way. Flip it over. Pull that and cut close to even Steven here. All right, now toss that aside. And now these edges are no problemo because they're just already, you know, there's nothing in the way. So I will generally just turn this over so I can see my line of stitching here easier, because this side is so busy I can't really see it. So I'm going to just go ahead and start trimming. There we go. Doesn't have to be perfect. Let's see, there's the bottom. Okay. And now we'll do the top. All right. Now at this point, if I didn't want to put lace on here, I wouldn't really have to, because, you know, it's cute without it. It doesn't really have to have anything else on it. But I want to, so I'm going to. If I wasn't going to put lace on here, then I wouldn't leave that basted. I would put a solid tight stitch on it. I wouldn't just baste it. But we're going to be sewing some lace on here. And I'm probably going to zigzag it on just for grins and giggles. So, yeah. So I went ahead and I've got all these little stringies I want to get rid of, just so they're out of the way. So I went ahead and just basted that. All right, now what we're going to do is I'm going to start here in this corner. I don't know why I just pick a corner. Usually not the front cover. And I'm going to line it up with my stitching here. And I don't pin everything. I usually just, you know, because I don't like taking pins out as I go, but I will kind of pin things in place until I get it just just to kind of keep it where I want it until I get it sewn on here. And you can clip it and then just, you know, you don't have to fold it over or anything if you don't want to. I'm just folding it. And I want that underneath here. So I'm gonna move, I am gonna pin that right there. Just kind of make sure that stays. I don't have enough pins out here. Well, actually, that kind of loosened up a little bit. So maybe that won't work. We'll see. Let's just do this side. Maybe I'll just do one side at a time. That might work, because this is going to be a little bit loose. I want it to be tight on here. So let's do this. I'm trying to figure out how to do this without having to stop the video every 5 seconds while I sew around. And sometimes things just don't cooperate. As you well know from watching my videos, craft materials don't always want to cooperate. I'll get that out of the way because I want that to just kind of overlap. I'm going to pin that down where I want it. So when I get to that point, I can turn my corner easier. I'm just kind of keeping it, trying to keep it where my stitching is. There we go. See, those beads get in the way. The beads get in the way. Alright, I know I was blocking most of that because I was trying to hold it down and pin it, but you see kind of where we're going with this. And I'm going to go ahead and just start sewing that. Just move things out of the way. Sorry if it's shaky. Shaky bakey. Oh, the neighbor's dogs are gonna bark now, because that's what they do. Alright, so I'm gonna start down here and just start ziggy zigging. Make sure you keep your closure out of the way. Because if you sew that up in there, you're just going to have to get out your seam ripper and do what you did. And everybody knows that's no fun at all. Now, if you don't sew, you can just glue all this together. You don't have to sew this. You would just have to use the craft glue that I used and just sew it all on here and not, you know, glue it all on here and not sew it. Which is, you know, I've seen people do that. So you can do that. I just prefer sewing. I know how. I have a sewing machine and this is what I do. And this is not a fancy sewing machine. It just does basic stitches, and I got it years and years ago. I wanted a decent sewing machine for my birthday, so I bought one. And I love it. I've made all kinds of things with this sewing machine. I used to make curtains and stuff for the house. I used to do pillows. I learned how to sew in home ec back when they had home ec. I made a pillow for my first project. It wasn't perfect, but it was cute. I picked a hard one, of course, you know. Couldn't pick an easy one. I'm just going to tack that because I didn't turn this corner yet, and I'm going to turn the corner. Alright, so that looks pretty good. I'm going to move this so I can pin the rest. Alright, so far so good. See what I did now? Look, this is what I'm talking about when you're going to have to go back and redo something. I'm not doing that yet, but I will. So you have to watch this stuff real careful because, see, I caught that. And I'm going to have to go and tack that. I'm going to unpin this and tack that back down. But, you know, try not to do that. My mistakes are your lessons. And I always wind up doing something like that. So, you know, that's just what happens to moi. So, do what I say, don't do what I do. So my stepdad always told me that. I used to get so aggravated when he told me. It's like, why can't I just do what you're doing? But he didn't. He was trying to protect me from things. But, you know, when you're a teenager and you hear your parental figure saying things like that, it's annoying. Do what I do. Do what I say. Don't do what I do. It's like, so you're admitting you're just blatantly giving me a bad example to follow, but don't follow it? Okay. Now I know what he means. Because it just means they don't want you to repeat the same mistakes that they are making. Because the outcome is not good. Make sure I didn't pin it down wrong. Can y'all even see what I'm doing? I can't see. Hopefully you can. Whoa, whoa, whoa. My neighbor's dogs are out. Which means my dog is going to want to go out in a minute because she likes the neighbor's dogs. She's tiny. They're big. They're separated by a fence, which is good because they would love nothing more than to play, which generally means pouncing upon her. That's what that would mean to them. And she's old. She's like 16 now. She's just a little old lady. I'm going to cover her footy up, aren't I? Yep, I sure am. Oh, well. Be all right. She don't need that foot. does she? I just sewed her a little too far down, which was another thing I was trying to avoid, but sometimes I just do things. Okay. All right. So let's finish this up and correct our mistake, and then we'll be all done. With the cover. What I'm doing on these corners is I'm catching the edge, being careful not to hit that pin that I have there. I'm going to remove the pin, and I always just catch the edge to make sure that it stays where I want it to stay, so that once I remove the pin, my little corner doesn't come undone. And look here, what have we here? Uh-oh, you know what? I think I ran out of bobbin thread. Let me just change that, and I'm going to sew the rest of this off camera. And, yeah, because I'm going to have to redo that. And then I'll let you watch me fix this. And then we'll be done. Okay, time to change the bobbin thread. Okay, I've got that sewn, so now what we're going to do is correct what I did over here. So, I have a seam ripper, but I don't know where it is, so I'm just going to undo it like that. Trim off whatever little threads are there. And now we're just going to reinforce this little area, which is fine because it's not going to hurt to reinforce this anyway, because this is where most of the pressure is going to be on the journal when you're tying it together. So we're just going to stick it in here. And we're going to make sure that we are backing up over our stitches a couple so that we can, you know, forward and reverse to make sure that it stays. And then we're just going to go over it and then back over it. I'm just going to go ahead and reinforce that whole thing. Okay. Now it's reinforced and repaired. It's not gorgeous in that spot, but it's better, I think, to be functional long term and have some extra support there. We're just going to trim off our stringies. Then I will show you what we have. Let me just get rid of this, and I will show you what we have here, which is our beautiful journal cover. And it looks so cute with the lace on it, don't you think? I think it's pretty, you know. And we, you know, we had a couple little hiccups here and there, but not too many, I don't think, for a project like this, because all kinds of things can go wrong. Still trimming off threads. But yeah, see, we have our little zigzag edge which is shabby chic and cute. We'll trim all these little threads off of here. We have our ruffle in place. Our signatures are going to be so pretty in here. We can just, now I didn't sew here, but when I get the signatures in, this is going to hold. So I'm not even going to worry about this right here. Sometimes I will go ahead and sew this, but I'm not, because once I sew my signatures in, that's going to hold. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. But there it is. And what I will do is I like to double tie mine. Sorry about that. I just had to choke half to death for some reason. I don't know why. It's probably some sort of allergy. And there, see, so cute. Once we get our signatures in here, it's going to be beautiful, just gorgeous. All right, guys, that's the cover. Now what we have to do is just embellish some of the pages that we have in our signatures with some lace and some pockets and some things like that. I'll let you join me on a few of those things that I'm going to be doing, and then I'll show you how to attach the signatures in, or how I do it anyways, into the journal, and then we'll be all done with it. Okay guys, so I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for joining me today. Bye-bye for now.